Can't catch a break, can't hold this weight. Wear me out, tear me down, I'll tell you I'm fine. It's getting rough, I finally had enough. To the point I'm feeling like it'll eat me alive. Let's go. Do they even know? You're giving your time up for them. You're giving your life up for them.
Hello there.
Let's go. Go on and put on a show. Just fake it a smile for them. Just fake it a smile for them. Smile. Just bear it for a while. Smile. Just bear it for a while. You ask for more, but you make a mess. I don't need you to add on to all of my stress. Waste my time. Just get in line with everyone who thinks it's fun to cry and whine. Let's go. Do they even know? You're giving your time up for them. You're giving your life up for them. Let's go. Go on and put on a show. Just fake it a smile for them. Just fake it a smile for them. Light a fire underneath me. Oh, light a fire underneath me. Let's go. Do they even know? You're giving your time up for them. You're giving your life up for them. Let's go. Go on and put on a show. Just fake it a smile for them. Just fake it a smile. Just fake it a smile for them. Smile. Just bear it for a while. Smile. Just fake a smile. Just bear it for a while. It's a race, gonna chase every second, every minute, every day. Take a shot in the dark. Battle scars gonna go and leave a mark. You know we're running wild. We're never bowing down. You know we take the crown. Race you to the top, never gonna stop. Pick a drop. Make a move on the run. Already won, even though it's just begun. I dominate every fight. Seeing you up on my side. Flashbang, vision white. I stay on my gun every night. You know we're running wild. We're never bowing down. You know we take the crown. Gotta know my name. Always in the game, taking aim.
I forgot I was muted. Alright. I was just saying hi, hello. I haven't said anything important yet. But we got to thank you, Overslayer. I might do a more Halloweeny one soon. But that will depend on if I have time and if I can fit that into everything else. So I will be thinking a lot about that. Anyway, I got to yeah, let's say we, because it's a collaborative effort. We got to 101 followers. It's fine. Probably change the title and stuff when I'm done, if that is happening. It happens. That's life. But yeah. And one. So to celebrate, I'm gonna read my fan fiction, at least chapter 1. Bear with me. When I'm reading things, I'm trying to like make. It might take a lot out of me, so we will see. Anyway, this is something I wrote personally, and it mixtures Minecraft YouTubers and Hogwarts. I do like writing stuff. It's one of the reasons why I'm test running this, reading some of my own stuff to you all, seeing how that works, and all that. Alright, so we're gonna go into, I'm gonna go into the story a bit. I just made this scene, so there might be some stuff I need to work about, so bear with me. And I will try to make it immersive as possible, so I will be responding to people either in an intermission or or towards the end of the chapter. It does have certain characters or people like Technoblade. He will be mentioned because it's based off of mainly a group. Because when him, Vilza, Wilbur, and Tommy are in a group, they're known as the Sleepy Boys. And that's why it's called CBI, because it's Sleepy Boys Incorporated. It's a long story. You can look it up on YouTube. Vilza's mentioned how that story, why they were called it in the first place. But it's mainly centered around Vilza, because he's the main character right now. But the others will be mentioned somehow. Alright, so let's get to it. It's Inception! Okay. I'm looking at the other part. I know it's delayed. Okay, cool. I'm gonna put some music in the background. My background. You all can do different things in your end, but this is what I'm choosing to do. Just do that. One sec, everybody. Here we go. That works. There we go. And we go here. Hmm. Actually, I have a better idea. So indecisive right now. Ah, here we go. This should help. Alright. Hi Tori. I'm just setting up for some reading right now. Oh boy. So, I just hope you enjoy the vibes. Thank you for the goat scream. Uh, anyway, let's get started. You could tell me what song you were wanting to do, Overslayer. I'll probably look into it, but I'm gonna get started. All right, this is called Case Files from Hogwarts, a CBI fanfiction. This is just Sleepy Boys Incorporated, a group name of the 4 people I'm basing it around of, but it's mostly surrounding one person right now. You are reading a collection of reports from the Crow Father himself. It seems there is a bunch from his time at Hogwarts. What happened there? Read on to see what adventures he got into while at Hogwarts. Anyway. Summary. Chapter 1. Report 1. Simple Beginnings. Let me turn this down a bit more. Cool. Filza begins his life as a new teacher at Hogwarts. Reporting, Agent Crowfather. I've been an agent for a good while, and I still have no idea how to write these dumb reports. I guess I should start with how I got back to Hogwarts as a professor. Goddess of Death's connections to XD came in handy. XD turns out to be an old friend who trusts her judgment. XD seems to remember my love for Muggle studies. XD was straightforward and said, "Whatever happens, I don't want the students hurt. I care not for war, nor life and death, because I'm one that likes chaos. But I respect the Goddess of Death too much to get on her bad side." And I will admit, I was shocked to see XD care at all. I still remember the rumors of him using hexes back in the early days of his Auror career. But he changed careers to be a headmaster after the last one passed away. In the Order, there is a secret member that never reveals himself or themselves, whatever pronouns are used here. As he mentions this, I wondered if he was the secret member, but that aside, I got set up in my classroom, and the room I'm staying in quickly. My mission was to make note of anything strange or interesting back to the Goddess of Death. If anything bad happens, I was to take action and put a stop to it. Basically, a guard and a sentry. I wasn't planning on forming a team, but life somehow surprised you anyway. I'll start at the beginning, at the grand feast. The same one that gets filled with so much food it's a wonder that it gets all revealed by magic. Setting up would be a ton of work. 5 tables along all good fun. I like that. 5 tables all it could fill a lot of people. 4 tables are for students, of course, one for every house, and the 5th one is for the staff and headmaster. Meaning, I sit there with everyone else. The staff look over all the other houses. I remember being shocked at how big the room was when I was a student. As a professor, it feels strange to sit at the teacher's table. I sat closest to Puffy. She's another new teacher, but in this case, it was for Defense Against the Dark Arts, so we were both new at Hogwarts. Funny how that works out, huh? Schlatt was talking with someone else. I don't remember who, because the table is so big that it's impossible to keep track of who sits where. But I remember having him as my teacher when I was a student. It felt odd to see him as my coworker now. XD was waiting for the first years to arrive and get sorted to make his announcement. He looked at me and said, "Things have changed since you were here, but I must ask if you wish to go first or second." Of course, being the gentleman I am, I let Puffy go first. Puffy was just as nervous as I was. Puffy was okay with this and also began talking. "It's been a long time since I was here. I hope I do well." I give her some encouragement. "You will, Puffy. You were great at Defense Against the Dark Arts as a student. If anyone can teach these kids to fight, it's you." I remember seeing a great smile on Puffy's face. She seemed to be more relaxed after my kind words. Before Puffy could say any more, I saw the doors open, and it looked like the older students had arrived first, just like always. They all filled their spots, but my eyes were on 2, maybe 3 students. One was a tall guy with pink hair, and the other was a guy in a mask. The mask had a smiley face on it, and nothing else. I looked over XC, realizing that he wears a mask too, but I never paid attention enough to notice that until now. The pink hair student had a cape on top of his robes. I knew from the look alone he was a transfer student at least. Not only that, but he had a gold band on his ear. Another student I noticed wore a sweater with his robes. It was yellow, and he also had a golden band on his ear and wore glasses. I also believe he transferred to the school as well. XD noticed where I was looking, and I swear I could feel his smile. "We have 4 transfer students this year. Can I ask that you make sure they have a smooth transition to this school?" I nodded my head, knowing that it must be awkward being in a new place as big as Hogwarts. As I looked back, I noticed both the students I was watching were staring at me in the eyes. The pink-haired one seemed cautious or awkward, while the student with the yellow sweater and glasses gave me this look. The kind of look that one would give if they were curious. I was told by these students themselves, as I'm writing this report, that they were wondering why I was staring. I'm dead serious about that. When they told me, I busted up laughing. Afterwards, the first years finally started arriving. I looked at them, and it made me flash back to my first time. What it looked like me, but different. There was something about that kid I couldn't explain. He was loud and impulsive. He also swore a lot. He seemed to get along with the other first-year students. The student next to this kid was small and just seemed like a close friend. What really caught everyone's eyes was the tallest student I'd ever seen. While everyone was curious about him, something about him seemed off, giving off the vibe that he was awkward by nature. I remembered Professor Sam from my days as a student. He always read out the names and tried to guide the first years. I think it's just because he knows how to handle someone younger than him. But he's totally different around adults. Don't ask, because that's just more paperwork that I already don't want to do. Evidence. Part of Tommy's journal entry number 1. Ugh, I don't even know why I have to write these goddamn things. Here you go, Professor Oldman. I'll start at the greatest moment of my life. Being sorted into Gryffindor. You might think I was sad that my best friends, Tubbo and Rambo, were in different houses. Well, you are wrong, Professor Oldman. I was actually happy to see them get sorted in different houses. I don't remember who announced their names, but he was cool. And I will admit, I was nervous to go in a house without my friends. The hat was placed on my head was odd looking and ugly, but it was talking to me, saying shit that I already knew. Then it shouted, Gryffindor! Aaron is one of my other best mates. We lived close to each other since we were fucking kids. He was sorted in the same house as me. I see Aaron as a brother, so you better believe I was excited to see one of my best friends get sorted in the same house as me. The lot of us made a promise to meet up every chance we can to talk about stuff. Being sorted into Gryffindor was the best day ever. I'm big man Tommy, after all. I should go to the strongest house. Evidence ends here. Tommy transitioned nicely to Gryffindor. My first impression of him was just as he wants people to save, but I've learned from my own experiences that some things are not what they seemed. As for the other first years, some seemed shy while others were more open to conversation. As the sorting ended, XD decided to make an announcement before eating. I transcribed his words when he made them. Transcription of XD's announcements. I welcome you all to this wonderful school. Those of you that have been here had heard me say the same kind of speeches, but I do this for the first years who need to know this. At least you know the speech only happens at the beginning of the year, so you can bear with me. Now on with the announcements. To all my first year students, this school has many mysteries and secrets, but there are rules here as well. You will do well to follow them. When here, will earn points on your individual score, but those scores will go into the house at the end of the year. This has changed because I think the old point system needs a more realistic system. Besides, magic might be old, but it doesn't mean we have to live in the Stone Age. Everyone laughed at this. Ha 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 ha. So, in short, I don't want something stupid. So, in short, don't do something stupid. Don't get into so much trouble to get me involved, and you will have a great time. Your teachers, along with your head of your house, will give you more details. What I'm saying is a bit more straightforward, and after a long day of traveling, the last thing you need is to remember every detail. So you're welcome. A few laughed at this. Speaking of teachers, I will introduce you all to the teachers before introducing two new ones, along with an additional change. The first is Professor Shubble, who teaches arithmancy, a slight form of divination, only in numbers. If you are a numbers person, you will love her class. Speaking of divination, Professor Mythical Sausage is your teacher for the art of divination. The art of seeing the future and understanding omens. But to understand one part of that class, you will need to know the stars. Professor Lizzie will be your astronomy teacher, and working with Sausage when it comes to the stars. So don't be shocked if you see these two together. Though don't let your head get any ideas. Look towards the Slytherin table and then across the room. A story, but I have no clue what. Lizzie's already married to someone who happens to be one of your flying teachers. You will call him Professor Joel. Professor Jimmy also teaches the course with him because sometimes two heads are better than one. And they also teach how Quidditch works. So two teachers, two teams, it works. Moving on to Professor Boomer, who teaches care of magical creatures here. You will encounter creatures from time to time, no matter the location. You will need to know how to approach them without getting into mayhem. Trust me, you would want to pay attention to that class. It might come in handy in a dangerous situation. Professor Gem teaches charms. And no, it's not a class about getting a date or something like that. No, this class will teach you different handy spells to use in life that might be useful. A bit of advice: never tease her hat. Trust me on that. H-Bomb teaches herbology, the study of magical creatures and non-magical plants. The study of magical and non-magical plants. This is also a class you may want to pay attention to if you want to make sure you know which plant is which when walking in the woods, because those plants will be useful when you work on potions with Professor Schlatt. Schlatt works closely with H-Bomb due to how both the subjects are connected. Then there's Professor Pix, who is great at teaching the history of magic. Something you want to see to believe. He works closely with Professor Scott, who teaches ancient runes. Both have connections to the past, so don't be shocked to have lessons with them together. Before I introduce the new professors, the man reads out the names. The man that read out all the names and guided your first years here is Professor Sam. He teaches Transfiguration, which takes a lot of patience. I understand. And learn, but trust me, he is the best at his craft. Before introducing the new teachers, who the head of which house is which, I will tell you that all the houses will be together in different subjects, organized by students' year and time each teacher wants to teach them by that day. This is to get used to each other and to make things more diverse. Plus, it's less work for me and the teachers. This way, teachers teach to the person, not to the house. Some of you will love this change, and those of you may not love this change. But I've taken note of the teachers' ups and downs. This, I think, will help some of those struggles. Now, I will introduce the new professors myself. First being Professor Puffy, who is your new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. You will learn how to fight with magic. We all wish you luck, Professor Puffy. Last, but certainly not least, Professor Filza will be teaching Muggle studies. But this class will be more multicultural, which means you will learn more about the magical world as well, to help those that were raised in the Muggle world and had little idea of the magic world. Filza, we feel here, is an expert at things related to magic and Muggle alike. We all wish you the best of luck, Phil. Now, your heads of houses. Jem is still the head of Ravenclaw, Shubble the head of Hufflepuff, and Slat the head of Slytherin as always. But Puffy is your new head of Gryffindor House. Puffy, do you want to say a few words? Puffy shook her head no. Phil, would you like to say a few words? I shake my head no, mainly because I was hungry, and man's gotta eat. Okay then. With all that out of the way, learn hard and be open to anything. Let the feast begin. End of transcription. Honestly, I didn't think XD would even go that far for the first years. I forgot that he cares to some extent, but never knew why. The feast went on as always, but I still remembered the new transfer students XD mentioned to me. After the feast, I was preparing for my lessons tomorrow. A student came by my office, which seemed my mistake. Turned out to be the one wearing the yellow sweater under his robes earlier. Seems like he took off his robes. I remember during the feast, XD told me that the robes were only worn on special days. Other than that, it didn't matter what they wore on campus. But this dude was tall as a tree. I didn't even have an easier time climbing the Whomping Willow. He looked lost coming in. I'll include his perspective of the encounter for you to understand. Evidence. Part of Wilbur's journal entry number 1. Now that I've told you about the feast, let me explain how the hell I got lost. As you can see, Professor, the per the perfect prefect only told me where to go to the common rooms, but not the password to get in, nor show me why the way there personally. Luckily, I had a great sense of direction, but I couldn't find anyone from my house to tell me the password. While walking around to find a teacher, I stumbled upon a bunch of random third-year students. I didn't know. well, I didn't know. But I did know that they were wearing my house colors. I didn't care if my house had a bad reputation. I will not tolerate bullies. They were messing with a first year in Gryffindor House. He seemed to put up a fight, only to defend himself. I stepped in to defend the first year, found out fairly quickly that his name was Tommy and that he had the situation perfectly handled. Despite this, I still had to deal with the members of my house bullying. They kindly told me that this was none of my business. But I made a point that bullying another student when they should be returning to the common rooms was going against school rules. I always had a way with words. But before the bastards left, they wanted to beat up Tommy. I defended the blocks, but I didn't fight. I was smart, not stupid enough to get detention. But as we both suffered their blows, another chap came. He was tall and had pink hair with the same golden earring band as me. His aura was scary, but not towards me, but at the bastards trying to hurt me and Tommy. Turned out the student had a reputation for being a strong wizard. One look was all it took for them to stop. The chap said, "Yo, you want to pick a fight? Save it for another time, like flying class or something." They stopped, but one put a nasty hex on on that. The nasty hex on that made Tommy sick by puking up either mud or slugs. The bastards even had the decency to at least tell me the password in case I was up for a rematch. While on the bright side, I had a way in. But on the other hand, now that Tommy was hexed, the chap introduced himself as Technoblade and that he was in Ravenclaw. He was lost on his way to the common rooms because he just transferred here like me. So the three of us had to look around for the nearest adult. So Technoblade chose to stay with Tommy and see if he remembered any spells to reverse this, while I went to get some help. The ghosts in the castle were kind enough to lead me to you, Professor Phil. Now that we caught up to our first meeting, I was concerned about Tommy, but I thought best to be calm at the moment. I remembered my words so well. "Sorry to bug you in this ungodly hour, but would you mind if you help me and my friends out? You see, one of them got hexed, and you are the closest professor to help right now." Evans paused. I remember I remember helping those boys out. I held out my wand and used a charm to have my desk organized. I swear, without this spell in my room and desk would be a total mess. Whoever invented this is a godsend to wizards and muggles alike. When I got there, I used a canceling charm and I picked up on my travels. But Tommy was too out of it to get back, so I had the three of them come back to my office. When we got back, I sent a paper plane to Ponk to get to my office as fast as he could. Then I found some herbs and made some tea that would at least help Tommy's stomach. Tommy wanted to complain, but he wasn't in the best condition to complain at the moment. He drank the tea, which helped him a bit. Tommy then drifted off to sleep. Wilbur introduced himself, Technoblade, and then Tommy. They both insisted to stay with me until Tommy woke up. So naturally, I had to pass the time somehow. I decided to ask what happened. This is what Wilbur wrote in his journal entry about this moment. Evidence resumed. "You will remember your part in bringing me in and all that, but I will remember the waiting period. Man, it was unsettling at first. But the moment you asked me what happened, I told you in detail. You took a long moment to think, and then said, "Thank you for telling me, Wilbur. I'll let Puffy know, along with Schlatt. They would want to know about this." I remember being so frustrated that I just blurted out what came to mind. Why would they treat a first year like that for no reason? Then you gave wise counsel to me about that. I don't know why I said counsel like something from the early 1600s era. Some don't need a reason to reason, but everyone does have a reason. Either Tommy did something to piss them off by saying something, or they did something that made him pissed off. Gryffindor students usually have a habit of being reckless. Plus, Gryffindor and Slytherin are rival houses. Both me and Techno had the same reaction. Then it spiraled into a conversation about the houses and how to best survive, which by which by the way was the best advice you ever gave. Boy, was it helpful in my first week. Evidence ended. Transcription of the entire conversation. Wilbur and Technoblade looks at me with surprise. Really? Me? Yep. Been that way for years. I'm guessing you two just transferred here? Nods their heads for yes. Wilbur. I'm an exchange student from the wizarding school in the States. Interesting. Wilbur gives a curious look in his eye. What is? That I come from the States? Actually, the school you originally went to. I remember Professor Pix mentioning that someone from the Slytherin house ran away from home, moved to the States, and then created that school. Remembers her time here at Hogwarts. He says she was one of the few good members of that family. He rambles a lot about history. You will either love him or be bored of him. I'm speaking from experience. Wait, you were a student here? Techno? Oh, Techno. Of course he was. Why would he know? Why would he know anything about the topic? I don't know. Maybe he picked up a book at his time. Must love reading for an old man. Busted up laughing without thinking. Managed to stop. I just started my 30s. As I said, technically, as I said, you're old. I spot the cape missing. To change the topic, didn't you come to the feast with a cape? Technoblade. Didn't look surprised. I used a spell to put it away. No big deal. Not like I'm worried that people will touch it or anything. Wait, how do you know that spell? Isn't that a bit advanced? Technoblade. Well, I'm not a first year student. I'm actually a fourth year. How are you older than me? Technoblade. That's the million. Looks like he's thinking, what's the currency here again? Go Galleons. Our currency system's complex. Technically, not in agreement. As I was saying, that's the million galleon question. Wilbur, where did you transfer from? The wizarding school in Russia. I can never pronounce that name. Ah, that explains your cape. Should have guessed it was from them. Yeah, I know. Sounds great, but can you go back to the rival part? Why are Gryffindors and Slytherin rivals? Wilbur, head perks up and back to me. Yeah, what's that about? I've never heard of it. Me, smiles. Pix will explain more, no doubt, but the simple version goes back to the founders of both houses. Godric Gryffindor and Salazar Slytherin had different ideas on which of the students should go. Godric, along with Rowena Ravenclaw and Helga Hufflepuff, wanted to allow all the students to come here. Salazar did not agree. According to history, he had a biased view, meaning he favored those of pure-blood families instead of Muggle-born families. And I will talk more about this in class, about how some Muggles have had similar ideologies. But yeah, ever since then, the legacy left by both founders has been a staple of both houses, meaning it's now seen that those in Salazar house are evil wizards, and Gryffindor is the complete opposite. I don't believe that. I see people not as members of a house because they choose evil or good. Technoblade. You're a teacher's pet here. Wilbur looks at Technoblade. That's all you can say after that? Technoblade. He rambles just as much as the history teacher. Wilbur, you don't even know him. Classes will start tomorrow. How can you say that? Technoblade. Easily. Wilbur looks annoyed. Why did you transfer here? Technoblade. Part of this program had an issue with some kid over potatoes. Me and Wilbur, Phil and Wilbur, gives the same shocked expression. Phil. I'm sorry. Pauses a bit to think. What? Okay. Okay, before you start, it was Muggle studies, I think. This kid and I had an intellectual debate about Muggles. He can save food. How Muggles can save food for the winter. I suggested planting tons of potatoes and then storing them somewhere, having a big cellar full of potatoes. But then he suggested something like getting meat, which isn't good long term. Wilbur, he sounds like an idiot. I'm sure meat is filling, but potatoes will have a longer shelf life. Technically, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's got ideas on meat, while I had the superior brains to figure it out. This caused a big scene, and now I'm here. Phil, wait, you took Muggle studies at your school? Mind if I ask why? Technically, Muggles know how to get around faster and have more than we wizards do. What are we still arguing about over here? The weather? Meanwhile, Muggles have higher technology, their writing tools are far better than ink and quill. We'd be saving more on feathers and ink this way. You do bear a point there. Wilbur, you do bear a point there. Further to that point, they use a lot of electricity in science now. So yeah, you're not wrong. Before I forget and ramble again, why did you help Technoblade? Technoblade. I can't stand bullies. Plus all the younger years are scared of me. Comes in handy in fights. Wilbur. Oh, thank you for that, by the way. Technoblade. No problem. Why did you help him? Not sure. I was just looking at him and just had to do something. It's stupid. Smiling and remembering that feeling. He probably understood how he feels. Who knows? Maybe he wanted to be his older brother or something. I have no idea what you mean, Professor. Transcription ended. The conversation felt like hours, but I think it was only 15 minutes. Then Tommy woke up. He was less coherent at first, but he woke up more after a few minutes. Second transcription of the entire conversation. Fucking hell happened? You got hexed, I believe. Made you throw up mugs and slugs. Tommy, how the fuck did I get hexed by some pricks? Me, surprised he didn't call them by their house when he said that. They were quick on the wand. They were sneaky even for those of my house, which I hate. Tommy looks at Wilbur, noting the house colors, or not seeing any on him, but he did remember the house colors the bullies wore. Wait, you're a Slytherin? Confused. But you're not a bad one, right? Smiling, no doubt grateful for the comment. No, I'm not. I'm not bad. I just got here. Like you, only I'm a third year technically. Tommy gets up out of excitement and wonderless look in his eye. Really? Where are you from? Why do you have an American sounding accent? Well, that's because I'm from the States. I came from Ilvermorny, which is a wizarding school in the States. Sounds cool, looks at Techno and me. Wait, I remember you too, points to Techno. You scared him off and stayed with me. Techno looks away, clearly blushed. That's no big deal. I didn't do much. Tommy, are you kidding me? That was awesome! Realizes that he never got our names. In my case, he doesn't remember mine from the feast. Understandable. What are your names? Sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Wilbur Suit. Technoblade. Just Technoblade. I'm Professor Phil, the new professor here. Wait, new teacher? I thought you were a regular here. You knew how to help me. Well, I used to. I used to do some work as an oar. Tommy technobladed well. What? Ponk walks in. Hey Phil, just got your message. Sorry it took me so long. I couldn't find the remedies for the longest time. Looks at Tommy and then walks towards him. Starts checking for any signs of injury without looking. Tell me more about what happened. Wilbur. Tommy got hexed to throw up mud and slugs. Roughly how long did he do this for? Technically. Off and on for about an hour, I think, before Wilbur found Phil. Me. I used the reverse charm, and I learned in my travels. Had him move my office. We waited for a good 5 minutes to have him calm down long enough to have some herbal tea. After that, he passed out for 15 minutes, breathing evenly. Checks for another 3 minutes, then takes out a potion. Tommy, I want you to drink this. It'll help settle any leftover hexes in your system. Takes it without complaining, gives the bottle back, now empty. Look, Punk looks at Phil. Good call with that charm. The potions should handle anything else that the charm can't. I think after throwing up, Tommy may have been worn out. I should take him just in case. I'll inform Professor Puffy. What caused Tommy to get hexed? Wilbur. Bully is from my house. I'll tell Schlatt. Me. Allow me to write a note so you have proof. I remember having him in potions. The dude was a strict son of a bitch of a professor. But if you have proof from a teacher, then you won't get into trouble. I start writing the note with a pen. Thank you, Professor. Of course, no big deal. Continues writing. After that, I think you both should head back. I would need some help getting through my house door. Oh, I can take you. I know which house you're from, just by that comment alone. Thanks, Phil. Not a problem. Finishes note, gives it to Wilbur. Here you go, mate. Thank you so much, this means a lot. Looks at Tommy. You ready? Wait, you ready? Holds out his hand. Tommy nods and grabs Punk's hand, then gets lifted. Bye, Prof. See you in class, I guess. Me nods and waves goodbye. Punk and Tommy leave. Wilbur, I should go too. It's a long way back. I'll have the ghost help me get back. Phil, some of the ghosts will trick you. But other than that, wise choice. Wilbur, I'll keep that in mind, Professor. Thank you so much for the note. Leaves my office. Looks at Technoblade. You ready, Techno? Looks at me for the longest time. What is it? You knew my house because you remembered where I was sitting, didn't you? Honestly, you might be right, but I just know how to get to the common rooms for Ravenclaw. Plus, I have to talk to Jem anyway. I've been meaning to talk with her again. Technoblade gives a look that says suspicious to me, as if he doesn't believe me. Okay, lead the way, Professor. Okay, lead the way, Professor. Transcription ended. Honestly, I will say what happens next in my next report. But it does get interesting. Crowfather out. And that's only chapter 1. We're only gonna read one chapter, so don't don't get too excited. Yeah. I didn't want to go all the chapters, that would take too long. No. I need to get better at voices. I'm not good at making impressions of the people they're based off of. But that's pretty much it. Got any feedback? If you guys have any, if you like it, let me know. It's been a while since I did any readings, so I need to get better at that. But It's not bad. And that's on my that's on anyway, you can even type I think it's exclamation mark fan fiction? Nope, I think it's exclamation mark fanfic. The heck? I know that command is there. Hold on a sec. Let me see. Here we go. Customs. Ah! I definitely need to change that. It's exclamation mark Hogwarts fanfic. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Of course I did. There we go, that's it. It's on there. You can read the whole thing. I still need to work on chapter 4. Anyway. Alrighty then. Let's now switch the game to Dead by Daylight. Just gonna change the name real quick. And there you are. I'm going to see